have the funeral home, and I just hate that term tombstones. It just don't even sound right. So I just put headstones. So we would like the funeral home people and headstones, please come forward. Is your director here?
Yes, Carmelita's here also. She's got laryngitis.
Carmelita's going to go ahead and do some sign language here. No. Okay, go right ahead, ma'am.
My name's Marilyn Hadaway. I've been there since January of 2003. And the kind of way we put this presentation together is to allow people that don't live in the area to know what the funeral home looks like and kind of, what we represent. The funeral home was established in December of 2002. Is it the top clicker right here? This was the first logo that we had at the funeral home. It still remains on our podium as you sign the register book by the chapel. The one I just had was that's one that we on special occasions we put out over tables or if we're having some kind of event. Comanche Nation Funeral Home is a state-of-the-art facility. The Comanche Nation Business Committee, the Comanche Nation leadership began to see a need for a funeral home to serve the needs of the Comanche Nation. They began to plan and prepare for such a place within Comanche County. The funeral home opened its doors December the 12th, 2002. As far as we know, we're the only tribally owned funeral home in the country. It is located at 2701 Southwest J here in Lawton. The location was chosen because of the ease of access to the four main roads that surrounded the funeral home. Gore Boulevard to the north, Lee Boulevard to the south, Sheridan to the east, and 38th to the west. This is a picture of our chapel. We took it from the back. Since we opened it in December, and towards the end of 2003, we saw a need for expansion, so the chapel has been expanded. It was where the concrete poles are. That was a support that they didn't take out, and then also they extended that out and put up like a carport area out there to park our vehicles for services. This is just this is the most recent of the chapel. This is the pews. They're a nice, real pretty floral print. We've got new carpet that will be going in shortly. Inside our chapel, we can seat about 200 people. The funeral home has a staff of 5 employees. We've had 5 employees for about 2 years now. There used to be between 9 to 11 foot. Huh? Okay, you talk? Okay. At the present time, we have 5 employees. We operate very efficiently. We do pretty good time management because we used to have between 8 to 11 employees. We had full-time funeral directors. We're operating with 2. And currently our employees are Carmelita Edwards. She's our business manager. It takes care of the financial and stuff for us. My name is Marilyn Hadaway. I'm the funeral director in charge and embalmer. I've been there since January of 2003. Kira Cody is a funeral director and embalmer. She's been there probably 1.5 to 2 years. Elvis Keel, he started in 2003. And Dina LaRue, she's our administrative assistant. She was there. She's been there about 1.5 years. She does a lot of work for the directors to help with getting the programs together for the folders and making the videos.
Marilyn, I just had one question, because you had talked about the ease and convenience of the location. Mm-hmm. Was that building already there?
No, I think it was part of the trailer park behind it, because see, the building was already established and built.
Oh, so the building was already there. Y'all purchased that.
No,
part of the purchase
when I started working there in January of 2003. But it was to my understanding that they cut a lot of trees down. Mr. Timacani could maybe answer that, because I wasn't there during the
Okay.
planning process.
But you haven't heard anything about whether or not that building was in existence?
That's a brand-new building.
Okay, all righty.
And then, like when you walk in the front and you go to the left, like to go towards the arrangement office, all of that is new area. And you can see where the brick was, the casket room, the two visitation rooms, the arrangement office, and that front section, the waiting area. If I remember right, that was kind of taken in two, because that used to be a lot of, carport underneath.
So that, you're saying that the building was built just for the funeral home and then expanded because there was a need to expand?
Yes, in less than a year, we
Okay.
saw a need for expansion.
Well, thank you.
Okay?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Oh.
So originally, that was one of those CDBGs that was written by Delphine Nelson when they purchased that property and then built it new. And over the years, it has expanded. They've had additions to it. But originally, it was a new building.
Thank you. At the present time, about 70% of our clientele are Native Americans. Our clientele from other ethnic groups continue to grow as the public becomes aware that the Comanche Nation is a funeral home that anyone can use. And we're starting to see a lot of change in the clientele that come in, which helps support the funeral home. Families who have used our services in the past continue to return and refer other families to Comanche Nation Funeral Home. We don't advertise, because we have a lot of word of mouth, and these people just keep coming back because they're treated fairly, and we really take good care of our families.
I know that y'all are self-supporting because you're not on the budget.
Yes, ma'am.
So why don't you advertise if you want to continue the self-supporting, being self-sufficient?
We have been, we are self-sufficient. I think it was taken off the budget in 08 or 09. I was going to say something, I completely forgot what I was going to say.
But y'all do well enough so y'all don't advertise.
Okay, from December the 9th, to give an example, until January the 9th, we had 22 families come through.
Okay. Let me ask another question because, as you know, we have a lot of out-of-state people.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the other funeral homes have websites where you can go and read the obituaries or leave a note that somebody will read, during the service.
We're in the process of working to get a website together to allow, not just out of state, but out of town, or people that can't make it, just come in and sign a guest register, and we'll have some information on that, and we're going to be able to get the, obituaries online, and so they can read those, be able to sign the guest register book, and also probably leave comments if they would like. Hopefully that'll be done in the next 2 or 3 months. It's just in the process.
I'll hold you to it.
Okay.
3 months in county.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I have some recommendations for the funeral home that probably we should have done years and back. Okay, well, one is I noticed that there's a lot of people cremation. I don't know whether or not there's a market for crematorium. There may be, there may be not, but needs to be looked at. Maybe we should build one. And also, I'd like to see some marketing or effective marketing done to expand to the I don't like to call them, the veterans, because we got a big population around here because of Fort Sill, and they're not taking advantages of our lower cost and probably better service, but they need to know more about it because we can easily expand into that area. And then there was another area is to expand the funeral home into other areas like Apache. I forget their name of that cruise maybe.
Cruise.
Well, anyway, they were for sale. Seemed like it was 2-3 years ago, and I thought we might be looking into getting that, but I guess we didn't. But I don't know if it's still for sale or not. And like I said, we might have a good market up there. I mean, I don't like to say that, but you know, there might be a need for like Darko too. You know, I think we was going to get a building over there, but it was condemned or something. You know, I don't know about that one.
Make sure that everybody knows, because when I had to deal with the funeral, I didn't know that y'all will not put that person's loved one in a casket until they pay whatever's due.
Yeah, and I forget how long that's been implemented. It was a decision by the CBC, and that's kind of the way, that's been that way for many years.
And it may have been, you know, and I'm not disagreeing with you that it's been in place and the CBC passed that, but it really did hurt me
Yes,
because I dressed my mother, and then after we were done and finished, then y'all told me that you couldn't put her in a casket until until I paid that, and I thought, well, y'all could have told me when I was filling out all the paperwork and we agreed on how much it was going to be, and then I could have just paid it then, rather than when I got done with that.
Okay,
Process.
I apologize for that.
So I really didn't appreciate that.
But yeah, it's just, and I apologize for that. But anytime,
That's why I'm bringing it up. So
Yeah.
people, whoever's listening, I don't know how many people's on the internet and how, watching it, but just so they'll know. That's the only
Okay.
reason I'm bringing it up.
and I just want to say one thing, and I'll keep it real short. Anytime we put someone in a casket, it's called a used casket, and that cannot be resold as a new casket again. So yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about, ma'am. I just kind of.
I don't care what I lay in, but thank you, Marilyn, for everything you do for us. But what about that Anadarko property? What's going to happen since we already bought it? I mean, is it in trust? Are y'all going to think about building there? I never would have agreed to do it because one thing Wallace Coffey said was, well, the people said it was too far for them to come. When you lose a loved one, it's not that far from Anadarko to Lawton. And our funeral home is wonderful, but I still think it should have been on Comanche land, because where do you park when it's full? You park across the street. What if that church decide they don't want the Native Americans sitting there?
I'm not sure what the verbiage is on that, but I know that the parking lot was put over there by economic development for us to use during overflow times.
Oh, okay. So they redid their parking lot for us to use. The churches.
From what I read, we did a barter for doing that so we can have overflow parking. Yes.
Well, that's good and well, but we still need pick up that funeral home and take it to KCA property or someplace. You know, we need to stop buying property in Lawton, because we're just giving Lawton money, and when turned around, they don't reciprocate, you know. But yeah, you're doing a wonderful job, you and Alvis and Carol. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
And
Wonderful.
I just want to answer your question, Ms. Isaacs. The property in Anadarko, I guess it was
I think wasn't it condemned, that building?
a condemned building. So it's kind of,
So we purchased a condemned building to make it into a funeral home. Although I know this was not during your, during your time.
well, we got to rectify it though, so we're still doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we do own a condemned building in Anadarko. That's non-trust. Is that right?
That is true.
Okay.
That is true.
And I
Any
think
questions? There was a question from an absentee. They want to know what the cost is for a funeral.
For what?
What is the total cost for a funeral?
they have whatever budget they have to spend. We have caskets that started.
No, just what package deal? What's your package deal?
We tried packages for a while, and everybody complained, well, I don't want that casket. It just got so confusing, so.
I'm talking about a Thibault. Thibault wants to know, what's your package price?
Oh, for me?
No, any Thibault at Thuyon. Anyone that passes on, what is your package
We
price?
got one, I think the one we've got there now is around, I think it's about $5,000. We've had $8,000 services for them because the caskets come in various sizes for larger.
So it depends on casket size, more or
The
less?
casket.
Okay.
It depends
Okay.
on if the cemetery requires an outside container, either that be a concrete box or a vault. You know, there's just different things that are involved. Like if someone dies in the Eastern District, which is under Mr. Turner, or the Western District that's under Mr. Hawthorne, the tribe will come in, the county will come in and open and/or close those graves and do not charge the families anything. If Wilbert comes in and has to open and close the grave, it's like $625. And then, you know, some of the families will want to cover by hand, but they want that service on Friday. So the county will go and dig the grave on Thursday, put a piece of plywood on it, and leave the dirt there by the grave.
Okay, so
for the
I'm
family to
gonna
cover.
just throw out there 5,000, first shot, first package deal, more or less? Okay, depending on, okay. And one thing for sure, you have some staff down there. We get so many comments, you know, every one of them. Elvis going out in the middle of the night when a loved one has passed away. You know, that's just not a job for your average person. And these guys have handled our people with a lot of care,
Thank you.
and we are so appreciative.
The digging of the grave, do you pay for that, and how much do they usually charge?
It varies on what cemetery it is. Like, if you go to Highland Cemetery, it's over $1,000 that the cemetery charges. I think they're up to $1040 or something like that. They require a minimum container of an outside of a concrete box, and I'm not sure how much their plots are, but they're pretty expensive.
So the Highland does require a
Sunset. I'm sorry, Sunset.
sunset. Is it in any place in town they will require a box?
Yes, and the reason for that, because, you know, a concrete box is porous, but what it is mainly to help with the groundskeeping. When they put a box in, a concrete box, that grave doesn't settle so much. If you've seen after maybe some of the heavy rains we had during the flooding, graves would sink, but this is to help that, you know, to kind of help maintain their cemeteries.
Well, our graves has always sunken. We've always had two at Cash Creek. But the cost of digging the grave, no matter where it's at, like Indian cemeteries, do they vary too? I mean, that $1,000, I thought it was maybe $250 to dig a grave, but that's
Yeah.
a lot of money. Can the funeral home have their own equipment and do it at one point in time, or the tribe?
Well, the big problem that I see in like, especially like at Apache, there are so many unmarked graves there. The county that county up there refuses to open, and the Eastern District and Western District of the county and Wilbur, they dig these graves very slowly. And if they see that maybe they've hit a piece of wood or something, they stop. And if we think there may be a problem where that person was going to be buried, we'll give them a set of flags, number 1s and number 2s, to dig.
Well, that comes to play with our preservation office. Shouldn't they go out? You know, we don't have people dying 2 or 3 times. Well, maybe we do. But couldn't they go out and check that spot where they're choosing to, the ground penetrating?
I don't know, we've never worked with them on that.
Well, you know, that would say, I mean, if the county is complaining about that, then we have our own people to go out there and check that place. You know, because most of our places at Cash Creek, we know where they're not. You know, we kind of mark off our family plot. But, you know, that's another thought to save money. I don't know how much it costs, but we need our own equipment. Look at our tribe. We need our own equipment to dig the graves instead of, $1,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, for that. And I know it's been, maybe back in '05, the funeral home purchased a bucket, a 36-inch bucket, because normally that's what they dig the graves as 36 unless it's oversized. And they did that for a while, but I don't know whatever happened with that stuff.
I mean, that's another income producing, because you could dig for other people and charge less than $1,000 and take whatever,
Yeah.
whatever company you said,
Yeah,
take their
and see,
business away, compete with them.
In Highland, it's like $450 for them. And it just varies. And then some of this, it depends on if that cemetery requires an outside container. And I found out maybe it hadn't been too long ago that up at Little Ouachita, there's the area that's marked off for, I guess there's a mass smallpox up there
That's,
at Little Ouachita.
but the smallpox, is that, do they consider that still live?
It stays active.
virus?
It never goes away.
Oh, like parvo. But, but the veteran cemetery up here, the new cemetery, do y'all dig over there, or do they do their
No,
own?
they do their own. And I've got some of that inside here. But when we go to the National Cemetery at Elgin,
Yeah.
we've done one on post here lately, but those are taken up. What we do if when we get the discharge papers from the family and it says honorable, we fax that to the scheduling office in St. Louis. We call them back in a few minutes to make sure they've received that fax, and we talk to them, and they'll either verify or non-verify. If their discharge has something on there that says other than honorable, they can't bury it. It has to be an honorable discharge. And if they are married, or if they're not married and they have a dependent child that they're taking care of all their life, they can dig those graves double depth. And what they do, the first person that dies, they provide what they call a government grave liner, and then they have, it's not concrete, but it's like a cushioning material they put between them. So when the second one dies, they're right on top of, they're on top. They provide they just have the wood headstone, and then when that other spouse dies, and both names will be put on it. When we go to the veteran cemetery, there's no charge to the families for the opening and closing of the grave. They do not charge for the grave liner. We have the pavilion for 30 minutes, depending on where where that person is going to be buried. They ask you not to go there until after they've completed the burial, but you can watch from your car. And also we have cremations and stuff. They have a wall of honor where those are put there. And, always ask if they're a veteran, if they would like to go out there. Because I remember when that first opened, it was nothing. We sat in this little, rickety tent, and they had a trailer out there. But it's awesome out there. And on the average, it'll probably save a family probably close to $1,800 to go out there.
Yeah, the CIVA has a marker up there, and that little pavilion area.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the top of the hill.
Yeah, and I've addressed the CIVA and a couple of things down.
Okay. And then why would it save them $1,600 to $1,800?
Because they don't have to pay for an outside container. They don't have to pay for opening and closing the grave. They don't have to pay for the tent and setup. They don't have to pay for the pavilion.
Oh, okay.
And if they don't want the government grave liner, they can get a vault instead, but the government won't pay for nothing but the grave liner.
Okay.
Okay. But I've got the CIVA and stuff in here.
Marilyn, thank you.
Thank you.